Take a breath.
All right, let's call this public hearing to order. Casey, you have the, oh, you do have one. That's right, because I just gave it to me. Casey, can you call the roll? I can't.
Councilmember Al Forson.
Here.
Paul Kett.
Here.
Jerome Bell. Ryan Catlett.
Here.
Angela Campbell.
Here.
Adam Bisbee.
Here.
And Mayor Omerza.
I am here. Thank you all. Sorry for being tardy. The purpose of this public hearing is for an informational meeting to discuss the fire apparatus building and the Ely area ambulance garage, including economic and environmental impacts, service area, alternatives to the project, and potential funding sources, including the USDA rural development. All residents and property owners within the city of Ely, city of Winton, town of Morris, Fall Lake Township, Stony River Township, and citizens located within the unorganized areas of St. Louis County within the 1,500 square miles of the ambulance primary service area are encouraged to attend. And it looks like we have a few of those members of the 1,500 square miles are in attendance, so that's awesome. All right, with that, I'll turn it over to Carol.
Sure. In your packet, you have the public hearing notice. You also have kind of a summary of the project, of the basics of the project. Not to be repetitive as to what the mayor just discussed, but just for a little background on the project itself, we had applied for a federal appropriation on a couple of different occasions. We're fortunate to actually get an award of $1.3 million in federal funds for police, or for ambulance and fire apparatus and first responder buildings. This was a little less than a year ago. We've worked through the process with USDA rural development because the funds are then dedicated through the USDA rural development program. So we have a long list of requirements that we need to complete. We have completed the phase 1 application, and we're actually in the process of completing the phase 2 application, part of that being a preliminary architectural feasibility report. So as we've prepared these documents, it's kind of gotten us to this point. We were required to have a hearing to go over what the overall project scope is, and within the summary, the first part of the project, valued at $650,000, is renovations and an addition on the existing ambulance garage located at Camp Street and Central Avenue. As you're all aware, this was a building purchased about a year and a half ago for the ambulance service to operate from. The overall scope of the improvements on the project include renovations on the existing facilities, on the existing facility, of the existing building of about $100,000 for the interior space, and an additional $40,000 of exterior remodeling on that building, and then an additional building built on the property about where there's a little shed right now. That shed would be removed, and then a new facility built in that location. The overall project budget is $650,000 for the renovations to the existing building and the construction of an additional building. So if you could maybe run through the slides there, we can get to the, I know it's a lot of order, keep going. Right there, so there's where I was saying Central Avenue, Camp Street. Central Avenue, Camp Street, the old depot's right across here. Everyone's aware this was Gene Harry's body shop for a very long time, and then was Josh Day's construction shop for a while. Right here, you can see that's where that small tin shed is. So the overall project is renovations to this, and then where this shed is, construction of an additional storage building. If you want to go to the next slide. Kind of look, here's the footprint of that additional garage with an office space attached to it. Go to the next slide. Here is the existing building. So right now, this is the living quarters and the office portion of the building. And then this over here, here's an overhead garage door, and here's another overhead garage door. So this is where the ambulances are currently being stored. The plan is to turn a portion of that space into a training room, adding an ADA bathroom with a shower, and then also having laundry facilities in this space. The other portion of the building, there's renovations and improvements to be made, finishing of the existing spaces, same with the kitchen. So some of the portions of this project are to bring things within code compliance, and then others are to improve upon the space to better suit the needs of the ambulance service. Go to the next slide here. There's the exterior renderings of the building. This is that additional building with the offices and with 2 overhead doors on it. Here's a view from, as you would be looking to the north towards the Grand Ely Lodge. Go to the next slide. And then here's the existing building. Not a lot of changes. There's some preliminary plans for some windows in that training room. Also some lighting or notification equipment outside to notify the public when an ambulance is on a run. So traffic is notified. But that's the majority of the existing ambulance garage renovation and addition. If you want to go back to the fire apparatus portion of the project. So the second part of our project, as we applied for the federal appropriation, it was for a combined project for both ambulance service and for fire first responders. As you're aware, there's been newer equipment purchased for the fire department that requires additional space. That apparatus is right now parked in the old city garage over in this location. So the location of the proposed construction, right now, this is where the children's garden is, up on the top of this hill on South 2nd Avenue and at West Patterson Street where they intersect here. Sibley Apartments is right here, and then Rural Living or Carefree Living, I was going to say Spectrum, but Carefree Living is over in this location. So this is the old Quonset hut. There used to be old skate shack here years ago. This was a skating rink down here, the Lincoln Rink. Right now we have a pole barn here, we have the old city garage here. So the overall plan on this site is to build a 60 by 60 post frame constructed building on a concrete slab. The red and the green lines here is just showing a fire truck. We are showing a 1 drive-through stall. This is just showing the turn movement for a truck that's 44 feet long to get into that rear door. So that's just a preliminary drawing we're working on. So this would provide adequate parking, an adequate area for training. Right now, if you're to drive over there, behind the pole building, there's an old yellow water tanker that's utilized by the fire department in this area. And then, of course, impound is here. At some point, we will probably move the fence a bit on the impound to allow for adequate space for parking there, but that's something down the road as well. If you want to go to the next slide.
Harold, I have a question. Do we still have adequate property for HRA if we build an apartment building?
Yes, all the property in this area and then all the property over here were the areas we were intending to look at for some multi-unit housing. And then the property in this area was single-family housing. So this is kind of tucked into the back corner up against this slope right in that area. Eventually, West Patterson Street will be relocated down to here. And this would be dead-ended right here. So that would just be access off of 2nd Avenue and then down to Patterson Street up to Conant Street is ultimate plan as we redevelop the old city garage property. As this building's constructed, we lose some need for some of this space at the old city garage. Because right now, the fire department is utilizing 4 or 5 of those stalls. City building department is utilizing 3 stalls in this other portion of the building. At some point, this pole building here could be converted over and heated for building maintenance, equipment and maintenance activities in that building. So, you know, the ultimate goal is for this old city garage to go away, this storage building to go away, and then for the entire site to be redeveloped. So that's why this is kind of pushed into the corner, is to allow for, you know, all the other area for additional planning and development as we go forward.
So I'm assuming that the driveway is a private, would be a private
Yeah, this,
entry and
yeah,
and
just
exit?
into the fire apparatus storage, yeah, would just be this access point here, and then coming off the alley. So, you know, it wouldn't be a drive-through or a free-for-all like is kind of this area though.
Are we anticipating that White Street will be extended to?
Our future conceptual drawings for this property would be to bring White Street through, and then turn it to intersect with Pattison Street down here. And then this would be available for housing, this area for housing, multi-unit housing, and then along this route, there could be individual housing lots for single-family houses. Because it is about a block and a half an area.
There's no thought to push White Street all the way through though?
White Street all the way through would dead end up in this area. And that's where the children's garden is, and there's a real high bank there. I'll go to the next slide. Just this overall footprint of the building, you can see this dimension is 60 feet by 60 feet. This would be a drive-through stall, garage door on the north elevation, and 3 doors, 12-foot doors on the south side. Off the side of the building, there would be a small mechanical room, electrical mechanical room, a bathroom with a shower, and then a workout facility for both for city employees, for fire and police. And then this back would be a storage area for smaller equipment, pumps, hoses, those sorts of things, and with a double garage door here so that they can access the back of the building if they need to get equipment out of this room or from this space from the side. So if you go to the next slide, here's the south elevation, the north, the east, the west. So the west is pointed towards that children's garden, towards 2nd Avenue. Obviously, no windows, no doors on that side, being that'll be against that bank. And then this is the elevation towards the alley, and this is the elevation that's pointed towards the east or towards Central Avenue. So windows in the workout area, and this would be the garage door to access that back storage area, and then this would be the man door access into the building.
Is this garage fully heated?
It would be heated, correct? Be propane heated, much like our existing city garages right now, the old city garage. Go to the next slide. Yeah. So that's, you can go back to that one there. But that's in essence what we've proposed. It's kind of a conceptual drawing we put together, I think a couple of years ago when we first made application for the federal appropriation for both ambulance and fire. You know, obviously prices have went up and fluctuated in that time frame. Right now, as a cost savings, we're looking at the site work. Go down to that. Oh, the other way. The site work to get water is here, sewer is here, so they're in very close proximity to the building. So that would be something we'd look to do in kind, and then doing the site grading would be in kind, utilizing city workforce and labor and equipment. And then some of the discussions we've had as far as the workout facility, they do have a pretty good inventory of equipment, but we've also been working with the police department. As you're aware, they did get public safety dollars for recruitment and retention, so we'd like to make this a nice workout facility for the officers to be able to utilize as a retention and recruitment piece as well, to have a new space. Right now, their workout facilities in the old city garage, that works, but it's not quite the most desirable location, just being it's a very old garage. That could be, this could suit their needs a lot better.
I have a question. These are just preliminary, you haven't done a landscape plan?
No, these are preliminary layout plans for both ambulance and for the fire apparatus. Obviously, on the ambulance side, there is an existing building there, so it's going to be built to match that. And this here would be a post-frame constructed steel building, metal roof, metal sided, LED lighting. Kind of a basic building. And the other, like I said, the other pole building in this location that's currently for electric utility storage, that at some point, we may add a door on this side, we may add a lean-to off the side, depending on future needs, but, we had looked at one time demoing everything off this site. This is a very nice building that would be very difficult to move, so that's why we put together a concept utilizing keeping that building there at the same time, putting that in a spot where it could have adequate space. So where we're at in the process is after this hearing, we'll be finalizing these preliminary drawings and submitting them to USDA Rural Development for further processing. There's a couple more steps we need to go through along the way, but the intent is to have this project ready for bid in the next couple of months, so we can get some interested contractors bidding before their season gets filled up. The hope would be to have both projects underway at the same time this summer. So,
Harold, what is the cost of this building?
this building, the building itself, with engineering architecture fees, is $650,000. The city in kind is the land, and then the utilities being stubbed into it, and then the site work. The furnishing would also be in kind. A lot of the furnishing is going to be equipment we already have, or like I said, the public safety grant through the state of Minnesota would help with some of that space to be used by the police department and fire department for workout facility. I don't know if anybody else had any questions, comments?
Anybody else? Anybody else? Go ahead, Larry.
You want me up there?
Yeah, you need to state your name.
Good evening, I'm Larry Planner. I live in Ely, or Spalding, but I have an equal amount of property in Tony Morris. As far as the ambulance garage, whoever chose that spot and made that move should be commended. I think it's fantastic, it's a good location, it fits the needs. To build on that, the additional space for another garage seems to be a tremendous waste of money. The extra ambulances fit in the existing structure right now. They'd be replaced or moved out to accommodate a meeting room. When we built the facility, the joint facility on the east end of town, we had a meeting room built that's open to everyone. It doesn't have to be a government entity. And Tony Morris is aware of that. They use the facility in the evenings for training. There hasn't The ambulance place has been in existence since the 90s, and they haven't had a meeting room up to this point, as I understand it. This week in the Echo, there was a good article, Tony Morris, Bob Greeny spoke, or was, had mentioned that the existence of the ambulance facility is up in the air because of funding. He visited down on the range, and everybody else is having a similar problem. So right now, at this point, where it's questionable as to whether the hospital is going to take it back or not, to me, it seems very foolish, very unresponsible to build that building in the corner, not knowing that you're going to need it 6 months from now. Harold, you mentioned you're going to try to get something out in 6 months. Now, I don't know, is that for the fire apparatus garage, or is that for both of these?
Both of these, the intent was to get a bid package together here over the winter months so that we could have a contractor in place in the spring when construction can start. So it'd be for both.
Do you have any idea when, with the CEO from the hospital, time frame, or they may say, yes, we're going to take the ambulances back?
There'll be a joint powers meeting with the ambulance service next Monday, Monday the 22nd at the Winton Community Center. I believe that's at 4 o'clock, and I'm sure that's going to be part of the discussion.
Okay, I guess, thank you for the time. All I'm saying is, it's extremely irresponsible to build that other building when you could store everything in the garage you have with no problem. Meeting room, there's the east end of town. Thank you.
Anybody else have any other comments?
Harold, has there been any discussion with the hospital that pending their feasibility study to take over the ambulance, would they be willing to also utilize these structures?
I believe so. I mean, very preliminary discussions, because there's been no move to do a different model or anything. But I do believe, of course, they are aware of this facility, its location, the room it provides. But I guess we will know more as we meet with them or meet with the ambulance, joint powers and the ambulance board next Monday. So.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Michael Smith. I live in Ely, and I'm also a member of the Ely Fire Department. I'm in favor of the new fire apparatus garage and also the potential development of the area for residential, mixed use, and any kind of occupancy. It's a great opportunity to add housing units, especially since the city already owns it. It's not on much cost. You can give incentives. It's a great opportunity, starting with the fire apparatus building. For us, having safe, accessible storage for apparatus, that's vehicles, trucks, even equipment, pumps, hoses, like Harold said, is really important to me as a firefighter and as a taxpayer, because these things take money to maintain, and if they're left out in the weather, out in the in a leaky garage, currently they're stored in the old city garage, and portions of the roof leak, not directly on the equipment, but still, it's wet if some of our members have to work on them. It'll give us quicker access to stored equipment when called upon, and possibly lowering response times for that equipment is really important. When you need something and somebody can run down to the garage, at the doors, park, find a place to park and get it out of the building in one direct action, it's really helpful. And I really appreciate the input that the leadership of the fire department, the city with Harold trying to work this out, everybody and all the stakeholders trying to redevelop this site. It's a great opportunity for us, and I think it's time well spent and definitely money well spent to complete this program. Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, with that, I call this hearing closed. Thank you everyone for your input, and we will be back in about 2 minutes for our regularly scheduled public hearing. Thank you all.